Take one. Did you miss us? Did you miss me? I've missed y'all. We're back. We're back. We're back. Alright, hi everyone. Welcome back to Brie T TV. As always, I'm your girl Brie T, and I'm coming to you fresh-faced because it is hot as hell. I picked one of the worst days to film. Studio lights make my space feel 10 times hotter because I'm in a small space and it's already hot as hell outside. And so I'm not wearing makeup obviously today or in this video. I'm filming like a bulk of videos, so I'm waiting for like the videos I would want to wear makeup with. Whatever, it's editor's choice. But welcome back to Brie T TV. It has been a long hiatus, guys. Like, it has been quite some time since I've been sitting in front of the camera, talking to you, uploading content, engaging with you guys on socials. It's just been a really long time. But the hiatus was definitely needed because, as you're aware, and I hope you're in support of, Black Lives Matter movement has resurfaced in June of 2020 after the murder of George Floyd, and demanding justice for all the Black Americans who have been unjustly murdered at the hands of police brutality and at the hands of systemic racism, not only in the United States but on a global scale. And it just was not pertinent during those weeks for me to upload content talking about a camera lens. Like, it just, I really read the room. Also, I had to take time and digest what's going on as a Black American, to take time to readjust my brand, how I was going to move forward, what really was the new normal. And there was just a lot of things that I had to do on this end of the camera that I couldn't sit in front of the camera. If you follow us on Brie T TV on Instagram, you may have already seen some of the changes that we're implementing and the schedule for the posting of this very special comeback Brie T TV week. And this video is just not a rant. Like, I want to say it's like a rant video. We're coming back with a rant video. I'm not really ranting. I'm going to be talking about something I think is very important for the climate that we're in right now because we're creators. But also, this video is going to just break down the changes that are going to be happening to Brie T TV and what you'll be seeing for the foreseeable future. So, without further ado, let's get into it. I thought of a meme, and I'm probably going to go to hell because I thought of it. But regardless of that, let's jump into this. So the topic of today's video, as you can tell from the title, is discussing white savior movies or white savior media during this time. So we're creators. I'm a Black creator. Some of, like, I advocate to uplifting Black and brown creators, uplifting voices, showing techniques so Black and brown creators can make room and break into this filming or this visual creation industry. However, during this time, a lot of people have been trying to unlearn a lot of racism that has been fed to them, you know, non-Black people, unlearn a lot of racism that has been fed to them throughout their lifetime. And because they're stuck at home and there's really nothing you can do, and also because you should be, if you're not Black, you should be educating yourself on systemic racism and the treatment of Black people across the globe. And not just Black people, like when you're thinking African Americans or you're thinking Jamaicans. Black people as in dark people. Because it's not only just, anyway. So, this is a time where a lot of people, I've realized, well, not realized, but noticed that a lot of people are wanting to unlearn and educate themselves on systemic racism and the treatment of Black people on a global scale, but here in the United States. And that's awesome. And because we live in 2020 and a digital age, a lot of people are turning towards media, which is kind of like a screeching little halt or a bump in the road. It's like a pothole on the way to like proper education of educating yourself on systemic racism, because Hollywood is one of the pillars of systemic racism. Like, Hollywood upholds a lot of systemic racism in the media they create. So if you're not aware of that, or you can't tell, and then you're consuming media you think is meant to help educate you on systemic racism, please watch this video, okay? This is where we're going to talk about it. So, throughout the course of late May and now June, when protests ignited across the United States and across the globe, Netflix and streaming services alike started realizing that a lot of people were going to their sites to stream movies that were meant to help them learn about systemic racism and the treatment of Black Americans. Netflix even went as far, and even Hulu, I'm not sure, I haven't witnessed Hulu, I don't really watch Hulu all that much, but Netflix has gone as far as when you log into Netflix, stopping you and showing you here, click here and watch movies that are dedicated to talking about systemic racism and the racism and violence against Black Americans throughout history. And that's great. That's a good move. Giving people tools. People can't get to libraries. Juneteenth parades were canceled. You know, all of these things that usually are at the hands are now taken away. And not to mention the fact that the education system in the United States isn't doing its job either. So Netflix, you know, was like, here, watch these movies. However, one of the movies that seemed to be skyrocketing to the most viewed was the movie The Help. And that turned my stomach. It turned my stomach because The Help, along with movies like The Blind Side or Green Book, are considered white savior movies. Meaning, so what's the difference between white saviors? Because, you know, you watch the previews of The Help where you see those little clips and, like, you know, the one actress, Octavia Butler? Hold on. Let me see. Okay. So you see those clips, especially the ones of Octavia Spencer, her character feeding, I just injured myself, feeding a shit cake or a shit pie to her racist boss. I've never seen The Help. I was never interested in watching The Help. But those are the clips that are circulating, and everyone thinks that that is a movie that is like, yes, like we're educating people on, you know, Black history and the mistreatment of Black people. But if you watch The Help or just read the synopsis, the praise goes to the white reporter played by Emma Stone, who's writing the pieces. That's considered a white savior movie, where the main character is never Black people. It's never the oppressed. It's this one white person that comes in and has this transformational story. You're not ever, and those stories are like detrimental because you're not really showing the history, especially when they're timepieces. Like Green Book and The Help are timepieces. They're happening in a certain time of history. Segregation was still legal. Like a lot of bullshit was still legal against Black people. Like a lot of mistreatment, segregation, Jim Crow. Like all of these were alive and thriving. They still are, but legally back then. And the movie is never on Black Americans. It's on this one white person having this transformational, like, I don't want to be racist anymore, or I'm exposing racism, and we're supposed to clap for that white person. We're supposed to clap because they were being a decent human being. And that's the problem with those movies. The Blind Side. The Blind Side is about a white family adopting a Black teenager who needed help. He was homeless. But The Blind Side can't be a movie that you go and watch to educate yourself on systemic racism and the mistreatment of Black Americans and how racism is ingrained in the foundation of the United States in every facet, when you watch a movie about a white family adopting a Black teenager. The movie never talks about how unjust the foster care system is to Black Americans, how unjust the criminal justice system is, how hard, like no one, that movie never touches on anything. It glosses over it and praises this family for like not seeing color. White savior movies are constantly the movies that are going to signify not seeing color. And that's problematic. And as a creator, you need to be able to identify that. But also as an audience, if you're not a Black creator, you need to be able to identify that when you're watching content. Like, it's just, and this is why I'm trying to be educational, but I'm also wanting to freaking rant about it, because it's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. Again, it shows how how racism is infused in Hollywood, because Hollywood has people thinking that these movies, just because they're timepieces and it's a black character and a white character taking place during segregations prior to civil rights being friends, shows like, look, even throughout the time where it was like dangerous, and it still is dangerous to be black, a white person and a black person can be friends, see no color. And that's a very, sorry my nose itches, that's a very dangerous predicate, not seeing color at all. Also, the white savior movies gloss over the an entire part of black history where white people, there weren't always white people standing up for black people. Now, were there white people back during the civil rights movement standing up for civil rights, walking and marching? Absolutely. But it wasn't as if every white person was doing it, because then there would have been no reason for segregation. And it wasn't as if it was a common sight. It was rare. The numbers were few. So it's important to see movies, if you're doing it about timepieces, about segregation, where it was organized black groups. Because therefore the movie is teaching you to unlearn the fact that black people are unorganized, that they can't work together, that they're unstructured, they're uneducated. When you show a film, a period piece, about the structure the civil rights movement had amongst black people, that's where I'm trying to go with savior movies. Now, I'm not saying like The Help isn't cute. Like, I'm assuming it's a good movie. It was critically acclaimed. It has Viola Davis and Octavia Spencer, and they're amazing actresses, and I absolutely love them. But I'm also saying, like, if you think that you need, like, if you think that the movie that has the white character bigger on the poster, like, just look at the poster, look at the movie poster, their promotion. If the white character's picture is bigger and more prominent, it's not a movie that's going to help you learn anything about systemic racism and the mistreatment of black Americans at all, or the history of the mistreatment of black Americans. If you are watching a movie where the poster is prominently displaying the white character bigger and more focused, it's literally just a visual of what you learned in school, a watered down, whitewashed version of history with a happy ending. And unfortunately, there is no happy ending. There's no fairy tale ending. We haven't wrapped it up, because in 2020 we're still fighting to just have people acknowledge that Black Lives Matter. So you cannot watch a movie that is creating this pretense that it's a happily ever after. There is no happily ever after. It's a continuous fight. Okay. I have so many thoughts on this, and I'm trying to structure them as much as possible. But I hope you guys are seeing where I'm going with this. I'm not saying like The Help isn't like a good movie. I'm pretty sure like the visuals are great. Just the story it's telling should not be a story you should be watching and digesting if you're attempting to learn about the real black history. If you're attempting to learn about the real mistreatment in the United States that you didn't learn in school. Like, that's what I'm trying to get you to understand. Like, you should go watch movies like 13th by Ava DuVernay. It's on Netflix. It does, and even if you're not going there to watch like do not watch Django. Like, don't watch that movie. That movie, like anything by Quentin Tarantino, you should not be watching anyway, because he just, we'll do a whole video on him. But like, watch the 13. Like, if you want to really watch pieces, all you have to do is Google it. Google is free, but do not Google. Okay, so let's see what happens if we Google, let's see, movies about racism. Alright, I'm happy that when you Google that, one of them says the movies that don't help the racism conversation, and The Help is the picture. I'm really happy. I'm really happy they removed that. But you can, like, There are literally, you don't even have to like get detailed like about systemic racism. You could literally just type in on Google movies about racism, or if you don't want to type that out, movies made by black filmmakers. Because regardless of what genre that film is, if it's made and written by a black person, a black filmmaker, it is going to touch on racism heavy. Because as a black person, when you create something, that your experience as a black person is so intertwined in it, that racism, because it's so intertwined in being a black person, is going to come out in your work. Get Out is a horror film, right? It's a horror film, but it actually talks about it talks about not only racism, but historical practices of racism, gutting, like removing organs, lynching, like come on. It actually talks about it. The sale of black people, like come on, like it talks about it. It absolutely talks about it. Like if you want to, like, so you don't have to type in movies about racism. Type in movies created by black filmmakers. Hell, you should be watching more movies by black filmmakers. One, to support them, but two, if you really want to unlearn it. If you don't want to watch a period piece about the civil rights, which you probably should, watch Get Out. Look at it that way. If you don't like documentaries and you only like horror films, there are horror films made by black filmmakers talking about racism because it's so intertwined. Do not, if the creator of the film, and I'm not talking about the producer, there's a difference between the writer and director and producer. Writer and director are extremely important because they have heavy influence on what you see, especially the director. Especially the director, because the director has the ability to nip and tuck a script right then and there. The producer matters, but in a sense where they gave the money. So I know there's a movie coming out, or it had already come out, and correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I believe Taraji P. Henson is in the film, and Brad Pitt is a producer, meaning Brad Pitt helped fund the film. That is usually what a producer is someone who is funding the film. Like, I'm a producer to my films because I'm the one funding my film. However, I've worked on a film previously where I had co-producers because they were also helping fund my film. So don't look at like produced by, look at the director. If the director isn't black, 9 times out of 10 that film is going to have a whitewashed version of events. It's going to be watered down and it's not going to be accurate. Watch black filmmakers. It's very important, especially this time. If you're trying to make it an attempt to unlearn something, unlearn racism. Unlearn racism if you're racist, but learn the history of racism. If you're finally realizing the Tulsa Massacre and Black Wall Street, if you're finally figuring out that the Black Panthers, who were heavily demonized, were actually a very well structured and organized peace group, come on, like, if you're wanting to learn about that, then you need to watch films by black filmmakers, pieces by black creators, because it may not explicitly be a film about Black Panthers, it may not explicitly be a film about the Tulsa Massacre. However, it's still going to explicitly talk about racism and how detrimental it is to black Americans and how systemic and ingrained it is. And yes, there are going to be times it's going to be hard for you to watch. It's going to be uncomfortable for you to watch, especially if you've never watched something or you're used to watching white savior movies. It's going to be very uncomfortable, but it needs to happen. If you're dedicated to watching media to help educate yourself, it has to be uncomfortable. It absolutely has to. So, again, white savior movies are films and TV. Well, white savior media are pieces of media, whether they're television or they're film, where it makes you think you're going to talk about racism, but it gives the knight in shining armor fairy tale look to the white character, and the white character is the hero. The white character came in and ended racism and saved the day and helped the black person in distress, and that's a white savior movie. There wouldn't have been any justice without white people, when in fact literally periods in history, through and major periods in history, it was black people helping black people. Now, I'm not, again, not discrediting the fact that white people were a part of the revolution, were a part of helping the cause, were a part of the civil rights movement to help it get, to end segregation, to end, like, I'm not saying white people weren't there helping, but when media only shows you that it was white people saving the day, it, like I said, reaffirms that black people are unorganized and black people need help, when in fact black people have been getting it done since the beginning of time on their own. Okay? Boom. Let's do this. Pay attention. So if you take anything from this video, do not watch The Help, do not watch The Blind Side, do not watch Green Book, do not watch Driving Miss Daisy, don't watch any white savior ass movie. Actually, I don't know if Driving Miss Daisy is a white savior ass movie. However, I don't know. It just sounds like it could be. I don't fucking know. Hollywood. And also, do not watch Quentin Tarantino. He just don't watch that and say you're trying to educate yourself. No correlation. And if you're, confused, 1, Google is free. Google it. 2, hit me up in the comments. I will gladly give you some film recommendations, some documentary recommendations. Sometimes you need to see it in a documentary where it's not glamorous actors that you know by name, and it's everyday people living this, okay? Talk to your friends. I mean, literally, if you talk to a black person, they could probably tell you, like, yeah, this movie was about racism, but it was funny. Like, because when a black creator, like I said, creates something, your experiences as a black person are ingrained with racism, and they're ingrained with your work, and you're gonna see it. You're gonna hear about it. So it's important, if you're taking this time right now, watch content made by black people. Hell, you don't even have to watch films. You could just hop on Google. You like beauty recommendations? Watch a black beauty YouTuber, and I guarantee you 90% of their content, they're going to be talking about racism in the beauty industry, or in TV shows they watch, or what they've experienced in life. It's going to come out. It naturally comes out when black people talk. It just naturally comes out. Want to learn about colorism? Enter into the beauty community on YouTube. Watch black YouTubers. They'll educate you on colorism and how it's literally the darker pigmentation is hated the most. Like, just watch black content and you will be educated. Watch black creators, black content, educate, thus me. Okay, so this is the equation. Black content about black people, plus black creators, equals actual education of black issues. That's simple. And you can't remove anything from that equation. It's not gonna work. You can't watch black content about black people made by a white creator, because you're not gonna get education on black issues. It doesn't work like that. It has to be content about black people, or content. You can even take out just content, black creators, education. Okay? You cannot substitute anything else in that equation and get something else. Well, like, you can't substitute, the equation can't be content about black people made by a white creator or non-black creator. It won't ever equal real education about black issues. It can't. It just doesn't compute. Now, it just doesn't compute. So you have to have that equation. Content, black creators, equals real education on black issues. And I guarantee you it's going to be subtle. It's going to be something you don't realize. But if you actually try to pay attention, you'll see how ingrained it is in black creators and what they do and why they make things. So, I hope this video is somewhat educational. I know it's a rant. I tried not to make it a rant, but this is something that's really important to me, because the whitewashing of culture in Hollywood, like the whitewashing, the white savioring, if you will, of Hollywood are not only black media but or black history, but history of other minorities, is something that infuriates me. And it's also one of the the fueling points of why I want to make the content I do, and why I want to do the career that I want to do, and dismantle the racism in Hollywood and making content that's not only educational but entertaining, but also uplift the black voices along the way and brown voices along the way, because it's just so aggravating. It's absolutely aggravating, especially during a time like this where, you know, I was talking about it to my friends, like, people sharing things on Instagram really don't always sit right with me, and then they're, you know, saying like, oh, I'm educating myself, and watch the help. Like, Google is free, and you should, like, so I hope this video helps you, okay? Don't watch white savior movies in an attempt to say you're learning about systemic racism and treatment of black Americans and actual black history, because you're never going to get anything other than a fairy tale ending. And I'm here to tell you, unfortunately, there has been no fairy tale ending. We're still fighting in 2020. So if you see a movie that's dated historic, like in the film that's dated like in the 50s, in the 60s, in the 40s, it has a happy, there's no happy ending. It's still a fight. It's still a fight. Okay, so now that we talked about the bulk of the episode, this is the part where usually we'll be talking about the changes. So I'm going to talk about the changes that are happening to Brie T TV, and you will then thus see those changes happen in the next, you know, video on Wednesday, the next video on Friday, the next video on Sunday, and then every other Sunday from then on. So if you haven't peeped on our Instagram at BrieTTV.com, or if you haven't peeped our Instagram at Brie T TV, or visit us on our website at BrieTTV.com, then you might not be aware that the changes that I'm implementing to my channel and this channel, and what they are. So the major change that I'm implementing is I'm taking the videos that I usually make, which are roughly about 20 minutes, and the first 10 to 12 minutes will be focused on regular video content surrounding by Brie T TV, whether that's talking about, you know, what kind of media is being produced out there, problems in the media, lenses that I brought, you know, editing techniques that I've learned, quarantining and filming, like all of that in 10 to 12 minutes. That's going to be the usual content. But then the remainder 10 to 8 minutes will be discussing what's going on with this whole Black Lives Matter movement, with the demand of justice, with what's going on in this current climate. I'm a black creator. I set up this platform was not only for me, but it was also to help uplift black and brown voices and black creators along the way, give them the tools that I've learned, skills, advice that I could give, and just actually grow with black creators to see media that accurately represents every multifaceted black individual in the United States and in the globe. And I would be lying about that's kind of my mission statement. My mission statement would be false if I don't do something and use my platform dedicated to the cause. The cause is not only getting everyone to understand that Black Lives Matter, but demanding the justice for those who were unjustly murdered at the hands of police brutality and systemic racism, but also dismantling systemic racism across the United States and hopefully across the globe, starting with education, police reform, medical, all of that. Racism is infused in everything we do in the United States. And so the remainder 8 to 10 minutes are videos that you will see, like I said, moving on. We'll be talking about current issues, petitions you can sign. If you want to unlearn racism and racist ideology, links and information that you can go to, readings you can use, donations to black creators, linking black creators, usually just utilizing the platform in any way I can to keep the focus on the current goal, which is calling for reform, calling to end systemic racism, and calling for the acknowledgement that black lives do matter. Unfortunately, I know that some people might not be okay with that, and quite frankly, I really don't give a fuck, because that also means that you're not part of the audience I want, nor should be watching this. So if that bothers you, you could kindly unsubscribe. That is okay with me. I'm pretty sure I can make it up in other subscribers who are down to build a family, talk about, you know, editing and film and crazy techniques and deals on lenses, but also understanding that there still needs to be focus on this cause. So You will be seeing those changes, like I said, in Wednesday's video coming up. And I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you got a little understanding of white savior movies and what they may look like. I'm going to post down in the description box like white savior movies that you should be aware of, like the most popular ones, so you can, you know, be able to better differentiate between the two. As always, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and comment down below, because I do like hearing from you guys. And don't forget to follow us at Brie T TV. That's Brie T TV on Instagram, and visit us at BrieTTV.com, where you can stay up to date with everything that's going on, and you can subscribe to our mailing list there as well. Newsletter may be coming out soon, and I hope to see you guys Wednesday. I miss talking to you guys, so it's good to be back. As always, I'm your girl, Brie T. This has been another episode of Brie T TV. I will see you guys next time. Bye.